Hello students. Before proceeding the chapter, Dual Nature of Radiation and Matter, let's take the revision of the chapter till the part we have completed last time. First of all, we had seen in this chapter phenomenon known as photoelectric effect. The photoelectric effect is nothing but a phenomenon in which there will be the emission of electrons takes place by the certain substance or metal when it is exposed to certain radiations of suitable frequencies, and the emitted electrons are called as photoelectrons. With this phenomenon, we had studied experimental study of the photoelectric effect. The experimental setup for the same we have studied, and we have recorded number of observations based on the experiment on the photoelectric effect, in which first of all we had seen the effect of frequency on the photoelectric current. In this effect, we come to know that there is a certain minimum frequency of incident radiation for which photoelectrons are just emitted from photosensitive material, and which is known as the threshold frequency, and the wavelength corresponds to this frequency is said to be a threshold wavelength. We come to know that below this frequency there is no emission of photoelectrons takes place and no current is flowing in a circuit. Above this threshold frequency, as we are increasing the frequency of incident radiation, the photoelectric current is also increases. After that, we had seen effect of intensity on photoelectric current, and over here we come to know that whatever will be the intensity of incident radiation, if the incident frequency is greater than threshold frequency, for any intensity the photoelectrons are emitted, and it is to be found that the photoelectric current is directly proportional to the intensity of incident radiation. With this effect, we had seen effect of potential difference on photoelectric current, where by means of the commutator key we are changing the polarity of the collector plate C there. When the collector plate C is to be placed at the positive potential, here we have determined with increase in the positive potential, photoelectric current is also increases, and at a particular limit of the positive potential, after that when the positive potential is to be increases, the current will remain constant, the maximum current is to be obtaining, and this maximum value of the photoelectric current is said to be a saturation current. Further, it is to be found as the intensity is to be increases, the value of the photoelectric current, and hence saturation current is also increases. Then in the same effect of potential difference, by using the commutator key, we are given the negative potential to the plate C, and hence electrons are repelled from the plate C, because of which as the negative potential is to be increases, at a particular potential all the ejected electrons will be there on the emitter plate only, and hence no current is flowing as the electrons are not reaching the collector plate, and that potential at which the photoelectric current becomes zero, is called as the stopping potential, and it is to be found that this stopping potential is related with the maximum kinetic energy of the ejected photoelectrons. That is, maximum kinetic energy is equal to E into V0, where E is the charge of the electron and V0 is the stopping potential. With the same arrangement, it is to be found that as intensity is to be increases, the stopping potential will remain same for all values of the intensity, and we can conclude that the stopping potential and hence the kinetic energy is independent of the intensity of incident radiation. Whereas on the other hand, if we are changing the frequency of the incident radiation, so it is to be found as we are increasing the frequency, the stopping potential become more negative, and hence with increase in the frequency, with change in the frequency, the value of the stopping potential will be changes, and hence the kinetic energy is also changes. So here we can say that the kinetic energy of the ejected photoelectrons depends on the frequency of incident radiation. And also it is to be observed that when we are changing the material for which the photoelectric effect is to be observed, we can say that the slope that we are obtaining in the graph for different materials, it will be having the same nature, straight lines we are getting, same slope will be obtained, but the intercepts on the frequency and stopping potential axis were different. And we can conclude that the photocurrent and hence the number of electrons that must be depends on the intensity but not on the frequency of the incident radiation, as long as the incident frequency was larger than the threshold frequency nu zero and potential of anode was higher than that of the cathode. With this concept, we had seen that the photoelectric effect is an instantaneous process. The emission of photoelectron is an instantaneous process, and there is no time lag between the radiation of the metal on the surface and emission of photoelectrons. After completing this much part, we had seen the failure of the wave theory on the observations from the experiment on photoelectric effect. Based on the wave theory, when the light is to be incident on the material, so electrons will absorb all those energy and hence it will require reasonable time for that, because of which to knock off the electrons large time is required over there. Then next, if the intensity of the incident radiation will be more, in the less time the electrons will be emitted from there in the larger amount, and hence kinetic energy will be more over there. And if the intensity is small, so to knock off the electrons large time is required and the electrons are emitted with the low kinetic energy. According to wave theory of light, the kinetic energy of emitted photoelectrons are to be determined by means of intensity. Frequency has no role in determining the value of the kinetic energy of the emitted photoelectrons. So based on these drawbacks, the wave theory has failed to explain the observations based on the photoelectric effect. Then we had seen the Einstein's postulate of quantization of energy, according to which Einstein extended Planck's idea and make two assumptions. First of all, the radiation of frequency nu consists of the stream of discrete quanta, which is to be named as photon, and energy of each photon is to be given as h nu, where h is the Planck's constant and nu is the frequency of incident radiation. And the relation is to be known as the Einstein's relation. He had used that light is to be incident in the form of the bundle of energy particles. There will be the shower of particles incident on the material, and hence the phenomenon photoelectric effect will be takes place. He had considered that when the radiation of frequency nu is to be incident on the photosensitive surface, collision between photon and electron in the atom of the emitter will be takes place, and during such collision the entire energy of the photon is transferred to the electron without any time lag, and this absorbed energy h nu by the electron from the incident photon is to be used in two ways. And over there, the part of the energy which is to be utilized to overcome the surface of the material is called as the work function, which is to be denoted as phi 0, and the remaining part of the energy will be utilized, it will be appear as the kinetic energy of the emitted electron. And hence finally we concluded the Einstein's photoelectric equation, which is maximum kinetic energy is equal to h nu minus phi 0. The same equation can be related with the stopping potential also, that EV0 is equal to h nu minus phi 0. With the same Einstein's photoelectric equation, we had determined the value of the work function, which comes as h nu 0, and the modified Einstein's photoelectric equation can be written as maximum kinetic energy is equal to h nu minus h nu 0. Now, based on the Einstein's postulate of quantization of energy and Einstein's photoelectric equation, the necessary explanation and proof for the observations from the experiment on the photoelectric effect was given successfully. From the Einstein's photoelectric equation, maximum kinetic energy is equal to h nu minus h nu 0. It clears that if incident frequency nu is greater than nu 0, then we are getting the positive value of the maximum kinetic energy, and the energy will always be sufficient to eject an electron. And it explains the concept of the threshold frequency from the observation of the photoelectric effect. Then by using the Einstein's assumption, it is given that if the intensity of the incident radiation is increased, number of energy quanta of photons are increased, and hence as larger intensity will be incident on the material, it will knock off the large number of electrons and the photoelectric current will be larger. That means as you are increasing the intensity, photoelectric current is also increases, which explains one of the observation that the photoelectric current is directly proportional to the intensity of incident radiation. Next, It is to be explained by using the Einstein's assumption that if the accelerating potential will be high, more will be the number of electrons that is to be reaching to the collector, and hence the photoelectric current increases with accelerating potential, and increasing the incident intensity will increase the number of incident photons, and hence the saturation current is also increases and explains the concept of the saturation current there by using the Einstein's assumption. After that, as per the Einstein's postulate, as soon as the radiation is to be incident on the surface, the exchange of energy between the photon and electron takes place instantaneously. There is no time lag between the incidence of light and emission of the electrons. That's why the photoelectric effect is an instantaneous process. After that, Einstein also explains that the electrons that are emitted from the metal surface have different kinetic energies, because some of the electrons are emitted from the interior part of the material, because of which when photons are to be incident on the material and it will be colliding with the electrons, so the electrons which will be absorb energy for interior electrons, some part of that energy h nu first of all will be utilized to bring the electron at the surface of the material, and then remaining part of the energy will be utilized for the work function, and then remaining will be appear as the kinetic energy, so that the kinetic energy of each electron which are emitted from the material is different. And another reason Einstein had given behind this, that if the potential difference between the emitter or collector plate is there and collector plate is at the lower potential, then electron will lose its kinetic energy in overcoming the retarding force, and because of that, if the kinetic energy is not sufficient, the emitted electrons may not reach the collector, and hence the photocurrent will be zero. And based on that, it explains the phenomenon of the stopping potential also, and it is to be clearly explained that stopping potential depends on the incident frequency, as from the equation maximum kinetic energy is equal to h nu minus phi 0. That means the photoelectric work function is constant for a given emitter, and hence the equation shows that maximum kinetic energy of photoelectrons increases linearly with the frequency of incident radiation and does not depends upon the intensity of the incident radiation there. And over here it also explains that the slope of the lines for the different materials is same and is independent of the material of the emitter, but the intercepts are different for the different material, which is nothing but the work function. And lastly, it explains the observation based on the photoelectric effect. Einstein explains that the magnitude of the photocurrent depends on the incident intensity through the number of emitted photoelectrons and potential of the collector, but not on the incident frequency nu, as long as the incident frequency is greater than the threshold frequency, that is nu must be greater than nu 0. After this discussion, we can say that electromagnetic radiation has a dual nature. And let's proceed the topic. Next topic is wave particle duality in electromagnetic radiation. First of all, when electromagnetic radiation is interact with the matter, the light behaves as if it is made up of the packets of energy called quanta. Later, it was confirmed from other theoretical and experimental investigations that these light quanta can have associated momentum. That means over here this light quanta is moving with certain velocity of mass m. Hence, the question came up over here whether a particle can be associated with light or electromagnetic radiation in general. This part we will also discuss later. The particle nature was confirmed by Compton in 1924 in experiments on scattering of X-rays due to electrons of matter. Over there, first of all, the experiment was performed like Compton had made a monochromatic beam of X-ray of wavelength lambda, and that is to be incident on the graphite sheet. That means over here the X-rays of wavelength lambda is to be incident on the graphite sheet, and hence the collision with the particle that is with electrons is to be takes place, and hence he measured the intensity of the scattered rays in different directions as a function of wavelength, and he come to know that the photon has an associated momentum along with the energy it carries. That means we know that the photon has the energy h nu. Compton had showed that the photon is also associated with the momentum when the energy h nu is to be carried with it. And another property of the photon is to be given over there, that all photons of electromagnetic radiation of a particle for a particular frequency have same energy and same momentum. As according to the Compton, photon is associated with momentum along with the energy it carries, and for all photon it has the same momentum and same energy. Next, it is also to be given by the Compton that photons are electrically neutral. That means photons are chargeless, and hence the photons cannot be deflected by electric or magnetic fields. Another property is to be given for the photon, that it can have particle-like collision with other particles such as electrons. And in photon particle collision, energy and momentum of the system are conserved, but the number of photons is not conserved there. That means during the collision of a photon with the particle, all the energy will be absorbed after the collision, and hence new photons can be created. As each photon has same momentum and same energy, so over here when the collision is to be made between photon and a particle, so after the collision all the energy is to be given to the colliding particle, and hence over here in this system we can say that the energy and momentum of the system is conserved. The number of photon is not conserved because when the photon is given energy to the colliding particle, new photons are to be created. Means photons can transfer their energy and momentum during collisions with particles and disappear, and when we turn on light they are created. It is also to be observed that photons are always moves with the speed of light. It is never at rest. And the next thing, the mass of the photon is not defined, but it is to be assumed that its rest mass is 0. The rest mass of the photon is 0 there. Now, effect of the wave nature of light. Here we can observe by using the experiments like interference or diffraction, and it is to be very clearly indicated that the electromagnetic radiation over here is to be behaves as a wave-like nature. But some another observations that is to be takes place. Just right now we had seen the photoelectric effect, and one more phenomenon, there is a black body radiation. This phenomenon can be explained when we are considering that electromagnetic radiation is consisting of photon with definite quantum of energy. So, over here, the observations, the phenomenon that is to be takes place, we can say that some of the phenomenon can be explained by using the electromagnetic radiation behaves as a wave-like nature, but in some of the phenomenon we have to take that the electromagnetic radiation is to be behaves as a particle-like nature, and some phenomena which can be explained by using both the theories. And that's why over here we can say that it is essential to consider that both the characters or behavior holds good. In another word, we can give the general phenomenon that one dominates in some situation and the other works in rest of the situations. That means the electromagnetic radiation has both the behavior. In some of the phenomenon, wave-like nature will be dominates and particle-like nature will be at rest. It works in rest situation. Or we can say that in some another phenomenon, the electromagnetic radiation behaves as a particle-like nature. It will be dominates as a particle-like nature, and the wave-like nature works in rest for that situation. So, it is necessary to keep over here, it is necessary to keep both the physical model to explain the careful experimental observations, and hence there is a need to hypothesize that the dual character of the light, and later it was turned out for the whole electromagnetic radiation. So, Here finally we can say that this phenomenon is to be termed as wave particle duality of electromagnetic radiation. We have discussed the wave particle duality of electromagnetic radiation. That means the electromagnetic radiation sometimes behaves as wave-like nature and sometimes behaves as particle-like nature. That means it has the dual nature. So till this topic, we have completed one part of the chapter, that is the dual nature of radiation we have studied. As with wave nature, radiation also behaves as the particle-like nature we had discussed in this part. The next part is remaining, that is the dual nature of matter. So as the radiation possesses dual nature, matter also possesses dual nature. With particle nature of matter, it also behaves as a wave-like nature too. So after completing this part of dual nature of radiation, we will continue with the same chapter and we will discuss the things about the dual nature of matter. So the next part of the chapter, dual nature of radiation and matter, we will see next time in the next lecture. Thank you.